So as I start to speak to you, or let's go back maybe yesterday, as I started to speak to you when I first came out on stage, not yesterday, 2 days ago, you looked at me, okay, and you were judging me. You were looking at how I stood. You were listening to my voice. You were looking at my gestures, and you were literally judging me. You were judging everything about me, and probably 3 things went through your mind, or one of those 3 things went through your mind at the time. Okay, so the first thing is, again, you looked at me and you thought, yeah, okay, this guy's he's got a waistcoat. Not many people in Croatia wear waistcoats, but he's wearing a waistcoat. He's standing okay, moving all right, voice sounds okay, and you thought to yourself, yes, I'm going to stay engaged. I'm going to keep going with this guy. I'm kind of curious to hear what's happening next. Hopefully, that's where you are right now, all right? Or, second one, you might be looking at me and thinking, nope, there's something about him that I don't like. There's something about the voice, something about the tone. His movements don't seem right. I certainly don't like his tie and the waistcoat either, or the brown shoes. And you're thinking, no, in your mind, you're kind of switched off, or you're almost switched off, all right? I want to try and avoid that if I can. Or pretty much the third area, which is where most of us lie at the beginning of any presentation pitch, or when somebody has to speak to you in public, is indifference. You don't really care, because probably just before I started here, lots of things are going through your mind. You're thinking to yourself, what's happening next? What the party tonight? I'm sure a lot of you are thinking. I can see a lot of you are thinking by the smiles on your faces from where I'm standing. You're thinking it's going to be a great night tonight. Some of you are thinking about what's happening next week. All right, because the truth of the matter is, you owe me nothing. You owe a presenter nothing at all. It doesn't matter how, as I say, the ego of the presenter, the title of the presenter, how much money he earns, or the company he works for. I don't care. At the end of the day, you as an audience member, you owe me, the presenter, nothing at all. So it's my job, slowly but surely, from the beginning, to keep you engaged with me. All right, I've only got, as an MC, as somebody who hosts conferences just like this one, my purpose and my role is really, I only have like short little stints, don't I? 5 minutes or so, not even that. I come on many times during the day, but that short moment, I need to keep you engaged. I've got to get you feeling like there's something's going to happen, something's coming, all right? So this is pretty much, over the next 20 minutes or so, these are lots of ideas and small things you can do to keep your audience engaged. One idea I often share with the people I work with is, okay, imagine this. When you walk out on stage, imagine your audience, all the members of your audience are on their phones. Like that lady there in the center. Right. So imagine everybody is on their phone, all right? They're occupied with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. They're occupied with something on their phone. And you come out, and what you say at the beginning, those first two lines, you got to get them to go, oppa. You got to get oppa, yeah, you got to get them to say oppa. You got to get them to look up. Get them to look up and think, okay, what's this? I'm curious. If you don't do that in the first 2 minutes, 2 sentences, it ain't gonna work. All right? You do that at the beginning, you get them at the beginning, it starts to shape how your presentation goes. Whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a pitch, whatever it is, you need to get that feeling, get that bang, that oppa moment at the beginning. All right? Right. Let's kick off. Trust. Now, as I came on, all right, trying to get you over to this side to kind of like me, to kind of get off your mobile phones and to kind of let you think, oh yeah, actually, I'd like to listen to this guy. Okay, I'm doing a few things already. I've been doing them every time I step out. I do the same thing. I show you a few things. There are 2 things I'm actually showing you. 3 things actually. 3 parts of my body that I'm showing you to get you to think, Yeah, I'll listen to this guy. He seems like this might be a resource. I'd like to keep on listening to him. I'm starting to trust him. You probably don't know it yet, but you're hopefully starting to trust the man on stage. Okay, I'm showing you two things. What are those two things? I'll tell you what they are. The first thing is, I'm showing you this. I'm showing you my whole body. I've got nothing to hide. There are the two most vulnerable parts of your body. This part here and this part here. Whoa, I got a wall there. Thank you so much. I'll meet you afterwards. But anyway, it was a woman's voice, wasn't it? Yeah. So these are the two parts of the body that are the most vulnerable, and you need to let people see you need to let people see these two parts. That's why when so many people that are maybe a little bit nervous, the anxiety is rising, they cover them up. Okay, so you need to show this. It's really difficult. We haven't got one here, which is great. What haven't we got? We haven't got a podium. We haven't got a lectern. So many speakers have, and unfortunately they have to, because that's the situation of the organization of the event, or it's official, and on the podium they've actually got some kind of emblem, like the White House, for example. But what that does, that actually gives you the only opportunity of seeing the presenter is what? You only see really from here upwards. So they have to really give everything, let you trust them by seeing their face and their facial movements rather than their body. But if you were to step to the side and let people see you here, that instinctively, and you don't know it, maybe you do, again, it makes you trust me a little bit more. Something else I'm showing you to get you to kind of trust me a little bit more, to listen to me and at least believe my credibility as a presenter. I'm showing you my hands. I need to show you my hands, even better, the palms of the hands. When you see this gives you, again, it gives you the idea that he's got nothing to hide. There's nothing, he's not hiding away anything. Okay, so you need, when you show hands, automatically it gives the person viewing an idea that, yes, I can start to trust this person. This reminds me actually of, and again, you see a lot of speakers, maybe that even the best speakers, even really good top speakers. Last week, Dubai conference, top speaker. He was like the top keynote speaker. Really good, tone of voice fantastic, movement perfect, content really, really good. But he actually had, most of the time, he had his hand in his pocket. Now, when I speak to you like this with my hand in my pocket, the impression what's the kind of impression that it gives? What does it give you? It makes you feel like, certainly, I think I know what I'm talking about. It maybe even gives you the impression that I think I know perhaps more than you guys that I'm talking to, perhaps. But when I start to maybe bring my hand out, and I was saying the same thing, like, welcome here, welcome to Leap 2017. We're going to have a fantastic time together. I hope you're going to, by the end of these 3 days, you're going to walk away with lots of valuable ideas, tips, and insights. As soon as you see your hand, it really does help. Again, it reminds me of some of the posters, some of the political campaign, the posters of the candidates that are going for elections very shortly, certainly in Zagreb. One that I saw this morning, a lady, I'm not going to name her name, I can't even remember her name, I can't remember the party either, but it doesn't matter. What's important is, on that picture, on that jumbo plakat, on that big poster, she's smiling and she's looking directly at the camera, which is great, because she's looking at you, like I'm looking at you now. Okay, if I was like talking like this, I was reading off a piece of paper, now and again looking up and then looking down and keep reading and then looking up now and again, that would not have enough impact as if I was to look at you all the time, as I'm trying to do throughout this presentation. Okay, so she's looking, she's smiling, she looks good, everything is fantastic, but there are two things that she's doing that she could do even better. She's put her hands in her pockets. Her hands are completely covered. They are in both of her pockets. All right? For me, I don't know this woman, it gives me the impression that she's very relaxed, she's feeling good, but it almost doesn't give me it should really give me the feeling that, yes, she's serious, she wants to give something, she's focused. And when we see the hands, that helps us, that actually makes us feel like, again, we trust that person just a little bit more, all right? So the takeaway here on this one is that whenever you do a presentation in front of a small group, a large group, or whoever, okay, make sure you're in a position where they can see you, okay? Make sure you're in a position where they can see your hands. You don't have to wave them about like this or open them fully like this, but just let them feel like they can see all of this and your hands, so they're not behind here. Again, if I was to talk to you like this and speak for 20 minutes or so, what does that make you feel like, perhaps? Does it make you perhaps feel like, again, I know maybe more than you, maybe a classroom, maybe a professor, somebody who feels like they know more than their audience, and that's not the idea you have to give. You have to share something, okay? So, again, all of you, basically, go ahead and judge me. That's what it's all about. Go ahead and judge me. I know in this room there will be people already that don't like the way I host this conference, and that's absolutely fine. I know there's a lot of you that maybe do. I know this presentation, some of you will be walking away thinking, what was that? I've got nothing from that. Some of you will. And I know some of you will, and that's what I'm focused on. That is the idea that I'm focused on when I want to share with you. Okay, moving on. Start with a bang. I've already said the first 2 minutes are the key parts of what you present. All right. I often I work with different accelerators, different companies, and we speak afterwards after a really important presentation that matters. And they'll say to me, I'll say, look, how did it go? Say, look, Peter, it went really well. 3-4 minutes in, I was feeling good. It was going really well. Felt really strong. I said, fantastic. Then I said, well, what about the first 2 minutes? What about that first 2 minutes when your audience is judging you, making their snap judgment of you at the beginning of your presentation? Yeah, they sound a bit rocky. But that's the moment. Those are the moments you really have to nail. If you're going to memorize anything in your speech, anything at all, make sure it's your first 2 minutes. Because the funny thing is, when we judge someone, the first impression that we have of someone, surprisingly or not, we often can't shake that off. All right? So the first impression you had of me 3 days ago, whatever it was, most of you've actually kept with that impression. If it was good, fantastic. If it wasn't, pretty bad conference for you. But you see what I mean? The impression that somebody has of you at the beginning, it's really often difficult to shake that off. It takes a big challenge to switch someone's opinion of you, of their first impression. It's often right. It's often the gut feeling of someone is often right. Even if it isn't, it's difficult to shake off. All right, so remember, start with a bang. Start with a sentence. Start with a question. Start with something, as I say, that will get people to get off of their mobile phones. You do that, and you're on the right track. Spark interest. Okay, now there are many different ways to get people's interest. If I was to talk about the content, okay, think about the content, the things you say that will get people to read a headline perhaps, or to listen to a radio commercial, or to listen to a pitch, for example. What are the things, shout out to me actually, what are the things that you think, the big topics that people, when you talk about them, people will actually want to listen or start to listen? Shout out, tell me. I know what you're thinking. Sex. I know what you're thinking, sex. Aren't you? No. Maybe I'm thinking that. I don't know. Anyway. It's the woman. She threw me off over there. Or the man, maybe. I don't know. So, yeah, sex is one of those things. We're not going to talk about those. Here's a couple. Money. Money does it. We all know people who speak about money, about too much money. Maybe the money they have, the money their suicide has, or the money one of their family members have, or whatever it is. It's talking about money, but that's not the thing. What I'm trying to say here is when you give an indication, something subtly connected with finance, something connected with money, then people start to take note. It's really it's a real touchy subject, but if you can start or put something in there, figures, numbers, that gets people to kind of think. I'll give you an example. So my name is Peter Hopwood, and I am a keynote public speaking coach. I help people to stand on stages like this, present their ideas. I help companies to align their messages, and I also help people to gain investment as well. Out of those three things that I said, boom, 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 which one of those probably clicked the most, perhaps? Maybe the last one, gain investment. Okay, so just by mentioning that word, it just gives it a sense of money, a sense of value, a sense of... Unfortunately, we live in a world where money does kind of rule the world, but if we mention it and use it in the right way when we're speaking, we can get people's attention. Okay. Another thing come up with is a future promise, right? So what did I say to you? What did I say you were going to get at the beginning? Money. I didn't say you were going to get money. Did I? I can't remember that conversation. Maybe last night. I don't know. What did I say? What did I say you're going to gain from this? Oh, sorry? Fame. Certainly not you. But I said to you at the beginning, I said, listen, for the next 20 minutes or so, you're going to get this, this, and this. You're going to come away feeling like this, this, and this, all right? So you need to tell people, what's in store, what are they going to get? Every time I come out as an MC, 2 or 3 minutes, introducing the next person on stage. What do? It's all about building an expectation, telling you what you're going to get, the kind of things you're going to get after the 20 minutes that they're speaking on stage, what are you going to walk away with, all right? So your future, you really have to tell people or give them an indication of why they should sit here and listen, okay? Again, always remember this, your audience owes you nothing. You owe me nothing. I have to share something with you. I have to give you something so that at the end of the day, you're going to keep with me and walk away feeling like you've got something. The third thing is recognition. Now, here's the thing, right? So I have, you can get off your mobile phone. If you look up at me off your phone. hello. So I've been, I'm doing a good job so far, right? So I've actually been following you for quite a while. Not physically, on Twitter, and I've been looking at your work. I really, really appreciate what you're doing, and I'd love to know a little bit more about the projects that you've got coming up. Okay, how do you feel? How does that make you feel? Makes you feel good. Okay, you can go back on your phone now. So it makes you feel good. Recognizing the people in front of you. Okay, at the beginning, 3 days ago, I said something like at the beginning to you, I said it's wonderful to have so many young people who value communication, who value their future, and they want to do better. They want to move forward. So it's great to have so many people from around Croatia and all around the world who want to do that. So I've just kind of given you a big compliment. And what it does, it tells you, it's a signal for you to know you're in the right place. Yeah? Nothing worse than feeling like you're in the wrong place and there's actually no value coming to you. So again, recognizing your audience, recognizing why they're here and what they're going to get from it will really help you in your presentation journey. Right, butterfly formation. What on earth is the butterfly formation, right? Listen, every single person, right, who has had to ever stand in front of a crowd and speak, either as a startup doing their pitch or at work or at school, college or wherever? Put your hand up, let me see. Okay, pretty much everyone, almost everyone. How did you feel? I'm sure you felt at some stage very nervous, okay? Guess what? I get really nervous. I get really nervous before I start a workshop, before I start hosting a conference. Sometimes the smaller the conference, the higher the anxiety. So even the best speakers, even the best hosts, even the best public speakers get really, really nervous. But the difference is, it's all about handling that nerves, handling that anxiety, okay? Almost like, as I say, butterfly formation. So they're kind of butterflies going all around in your body, but it's almost like trying to get those butterflies to go round in the right formation, okay? So there are a lot of things, again, you can do to try to keep you feeling ready, feeling good. What I do, the anxiety I have, some of that actually goes straight into physically into my presentation, into what I do. So this is physically, when I go off, I'm already hot now. It's quite hot in this room with the lights shining on me. But every time I go off, physically, I'm actually quite tired. Okay, so public speaking is not just not mental. It's not just mental. It's actually physical as well. All right, so you got to get your body in shape, get your body feeling good and ready. Mick Jagger, what does he do? He runs backstage every time he has a concert. He runs backstage for, one way, the other way. He does that for about 2 or 3 minutes, and that gets his whole body in tune and ready to perform and ready to share. Okay, I don't do that. What I do is actually, I think about things. I don't think about how you're going to judge me. I don't think of will you like the pink tie or not? Do you? No. Okay. So I don't think about that, although I did this morning when I put it on. I think about, what am I going to give? All right. What am I going to share with you so that you walk away feeling like you've got value? All right. Startups. All right. When you pitch, think about, what is the thing that you're going to share that you want people to feel when you speak? And what do you want them to take away? All right? And you got to feel excited about that. You got to feel like, yeah, this is actually something good, because whatever you do on stage, however you come across on stage, it's contagious. You will feel that. As an audience, you might not show it. Often audience, they don't show it. All right, so I'm trying to give you energy here. In my audience now, I don't see a lot of energy coming back, which is absolutely fine, because that's not your role. All right, trust me. The energy you give out, you dictate the energy in the room. All right, you dictate the energy in the room. Your audience might not always show it, but they'll appreciate it afterwards. All right, so you really have to go out there and really share something special. All right? And if you don't know what that is, you're in trouble, really. All right? So especially startups, you really need to understand what it is that you're trying to achieve, what it is you want your people to feel. Think about that now. All right? Startups, yeah? Okay, think about that now. What it is you want to achieve. Self-awareness. Okay, self-awareness, pretty much this is what this is all about. Being self-aware, understanding what you're doing right, things you could do better, and how you're going to move forward. Great speakers, a lot of them, they've got mentors, they've got people that help them. They're often, right, the best way, the one only best way for you to know exactly how your audience sees you is what? Is recording yourself on your phone, all right, or a camera, all right? Looking back at your video, right? That will give you a perfect indication of how you're moving, how you sound, the things you said, the things you were feeling good, and you said a few things that you didn't plan, but they came out really well. You see those and you use them again and again and again. You see things maybe that you didn't do so well, and you remember, all right, I'm not going to do that the next time. The way I moved on stage, the shape, my shape. Ed Sheeran, we were listening to earlier on, Shape of You. Again, it's a shape of you on stage. Okay? So self-awareness, always remembering you got to learn. This is a whole process. Most of the speakers here, almost all, that you've seen over the last 3 days, value, or they understand that they're not perfect. Some of them were really great, yeah? Some were really, really cool. They all know they are not perfect, but they understand they've got to move forward. Most of them will actually look back at the video, okay? Look back at YouTube in a few weeks, and they'll look at themselves and they'll see how they did. You don't need a whole streaming kit like the guys here filming over the last 3 days, Transmit TV. You don't need that. All you need is a mobile phone, a colleague, somebody else. Just do it. Just film it. And that will give you a real good impression. I almost always try to look at videos, try to look at video footage of how I did on stage. I've been doing that for the last 7, 8, 9 years. I live in Varaždin. Right, I live in Varaždin. I don't work too much in Croatia because I'm busy in most parts of Europe. Dubai last week, Shanghai at the end of the month. Because I keep moving forward and value and understand that I've got to keep going. If I want to be really good, if I want to keep going, I've got to improve. It might be small things that you've got to change. Small things. It might be a big thing. Okay, but whatever it is, you really need to keep moving. Record yourself and you'll see yourself exactly how other people see you. Secret weapon. What is my secret weapon? Right, my secret weapon, I'll tell you, without this, I would not be able to give the engagement I'm trying to give every time I step on stage or share a workshop, okay? You know what that is? Do you know what that is? Sorry? Microphone does help. Audience, that does help as well. Okay, what it is, it's not my tie, although it does look good. Anyway, what it is, it's my arms, my gestures. Right, my gestures, you need to see the hands and you need to have gestures. So your script, the words that you're going to put together, okay, you have to have that done pretty well. Along with that, you really need to have at least a light understanding of the gestures that are going to go with the words you give. All right? When I give gestures out to you, when I share my messages, most of my messages, not all of them, okay, it doesn't have to be all of them. Certainly not good to have all of messages synced with gestures. But a lot of them, I'm using my hands and my arms to tell you that share those messages. What that does a lot of things. Number one, it helps you as an audience look at me as someone who's got a structured idea, okay? So I've got structure. When you look at me and see my hands doing what they're doing with each of the phrases I use and share, that tells you I've got structure. It helps me as a presenter with my voice. It's kind of strange. It kind of helps me as a presenter with my voice. When for example, here we are. Welcome to Zagreb. Welcome to Leap 2017. We're going to have a fantastic time and enjoy ourselves fully, especially tonight at the party. All right, I'll do the same thing. So welcome to Leap 2017. We're going to have a fantastic time right here in Zagreb. And remember, tonight we're going to have a fantastic time at the party all night long. Do you see what I mean? When you start to use those gestures, what happens? There's this thing that kind of a message, a signal hits my brain. Well, I speak, okay, hits my brain, goes to my arms, goes back to my brain, back to my voice, and I actually sound better. It's a crazy thing. You will sound better if you use gestures. Remember that. You actually do sound better. All right? I've done this a lot of times. I do this all the time. You don't need to do it all the time, but the more you practice, the more you do it, the more you will move forward. Okay, so any opportunity you have to get in front of a crowd, the confidence that will give you that boost is amazing. Yesterday, the open mic evening, okay? Everybody who spoke there, whether they felt confident or not, the next time they will speak, they will feel a hell of a lot more confident, okay? So what you need to do, if you're serious about, if you value how you want to communicate, and you value your own communication and how you're going to share that with your audience, you really need to remember to take every opportunity you can to share your messages, okay? So, secret weapon, use your arms. A few other things as well. When I'm talking about something, when I give this, when I'm talking here and I'm using my arms in this area here, this kind, as I say, this is kind of like the trust area. And when I move my hands, again, you don't know it, but your anxiety level is actually slightly higher. Okay, so when I'm speaking like this and do this, your anxiety level rises slightly. And then when I start to talk about some fantastic things like the Boomerang Challenge at Leap Summit, fantastic. So when I bring my arms up, what that does, your blood level, you don't know it, you don't know a lot of things, but I'm telling you, it's actually it rises, okay? So when you start talking about something more exciting, raise up your hands slightly, and then remember to bring them down, all right? Bring them down, back to this trust level here. We move on swiftly. The power of three. Right, power of three. We, as humans, it's really difficult for us to remember a lot of stuff, a lot of things. So if I say to you, all the things I do for a living, all the kind of projects I do, all the main key points, if I give you more than three, you probably won't remember them. All right? So what you need to do, you always remember to give three things. All right? Three things. So three important things, always number three. So I help a lot of people with their public speaking. I help people who stand on stage, and I also help them with investment. Bang. When I start to speak to somebody, I'm helping a company, helping a brand, an individual. Probably, usually in that first conversation, I say to them, okay, so you've got so much stuff, you've got so many things to share, you've got so much that you want to give, right? Scrap all that out. Just focus on three things. Focus on three important things. You do that, that will help you remember more of the stuff you're going to share, and it will help your audience as well to remember also. If there aren't three, if I ask you, if you were to give me your elevator pitch right now and tell me what you do, all right? If you haven't got three things, you've got two, think of something else, all right? So elevator pitches, when people ask you, you know, what do you, so tell me, what do you do? What are you into? I do this, this, and this. So three. Make sure you got three. It helps everybody to remember a bit more. Now, voice, right? Voice is so interesting, right? You might think, so somebody walks out on stage, you look at them, you judge them, right? You judge them, how they look, how they move, what they look like, right? There's one thing that will give you away immediately. The thing that you'll get judged on quicker by is always your voice. Always your voice. Think radio presenters, right? Great radio presenters here in Croatia, all right? Antenna, listen to different radio stations, presenters, great voices. If you were to meet them, you didn't know what they looked like. If you were to meet them in a lift or in the street, you probably wouldn't recognize them. But that's okay, because it's all about the voice. You can hear in the voice in the morning, right? Morning show. You can hear they're kind of not full of life, but they're ready for the day. And they help you feel ready for the day. And you automatically, as soon as you hear that voice, like something like 5 to 10 seconds, that's the moment. That's the moment that really, really helps. Well, if you do it right, really helps your audience get the right side of you. Okay. So voice. What about the voice? Bringing your voice slightly down. In business, the way it goes that's just the way it goes. In business, a lower voice is more credible. That's the way it goes. So I'm not asking you to lower your voices, bring your voices down. But what I would ask you to do, not right now, but this is one of the tasks I do with the people I work with, is finding your lowest parts, lowest tone of your voice. All right? So the way you do that is you first of all think about somewhere in here, this is where your voice drops. And down here, this is where it kind of starts, and this is where it comes from. All right? So it's about doing that. And then all you have to do is, you're here, think about it, bring it down, bring the air out, bring the air in, and then say your name. And then you say your name, and then you say your name on that low tone. Okay? Not the more you say your name, but the more you practice that, finding that low tone, that will help you sound more credible. Ladies, you're in luck, because you can actually manipulate your voice, your vocal tones, a hell of a lot better than the men, in fact. So it's about bringing your voice slightly lower. There is no politician on this earth that I know that has been elected with a high voice. All right? So I'm just thinking, no. So bringing your voice down slightly will actually help you. Okay? Listen to the sentences. Where do I finish? So if we were look at the tone of the sentence, where do I finish on most of the sentences? Do I finish going up or do I go down? What do I do? Most of the time, I go down. Most of the time, I go down or I stay on the same level. Okay? If you go up, what happens is it gives you the impression that I'm not exactly sure about my statements. Okay, so we're going to have a great time. We're going to have a great time here in Zagreb. Okay? We're going to have a great time here in Zagreb. Can you see the big difference just by saying that? Okay? So bringing your at the end of your sentences, bringing those slightly lower or on the same level will actually help you share your messages more like statements, and that you're sure of what you're saying, and then your audience sees somebody on stage that believes what he's saying, and that will help them decide. They don't have to be with you all the time. They can decide whether they're with you or not. Right, we move on. Pause it up. You can hear many times throughout this last 20 minutes or so together, I'm using lots and lots of pauses. I need to use those pauses. Why? Because what it does, it gives you the impression that I'm kind of comfortable. First of all, comfortable with pauses, all right? Comfortable with the silence. And it also helps you absorb my messages. I've got a lot of things to say. But it's almost like, imagine lots of small little chunks. Small chunks of messages. Lots of chunks of messages. And I've got to share those with you. And I've got to give those to you. And you've got to put those in your mouth. And you've got to chew them up a little bit. And you've got to swallow them. And then you're ready for the next chunk. Okay? So it's all about letting your audience absorb those messages. More so with the key messages of your presentation, of your pitch. All right? So whatever it is, you can pause it up just before. So you can speed up. You can kind of bring up the anxiety, as I was saying, with the arms and the speed of your voice. So what we're going to do something fantastic. The Boomerang Challenge is on its way. It's been on fire for the last 2 days, and the winner is whoever. Right? Okay. So I don't know who it is, but at the end you can pause, and then you raise that curiosity and a little bit of excitement, and then you give that pause. Far too often, we don't hear the pauses. The next person you hear, not next person on this stage, but next conference you go to, next presentation you listen to the pauses. How does that person make you feel? Without them. With them. How does it make you feel? Pauses are a good thing, all right? Really, really good thing. Sweet dessert, right? We're coming towards the end now. I'm kind of going to wrap up now. Now, how many times have you seen at the end of a presentation a slide, or have you ever finished a presentation with a slide saying thank you? Yeah? Yeah? Right. From now on, you will never, ever use a slide saying thank you at the end. Because at the end of the day, the value that brings, what does that bring to your presentation? You can say that. If I say to you at the end of this presentation, which I will, thank you so much. I mean that. I appreciate that you've listened to me. I appreciate that most of you have been with me throughout the time together on stage. But I don't need to write that on the slide. The last slide you have is often the slide that's going to stay up there way after you've finished. It's the last visual idea that people remember you by. So you need to put something up there that people are going to remember. Put up a statement, put up something, a phrase, put up something, an image, something that's connected with the value of what you're sharing. All right? And that will certainly help you. So remember, no more thank yous right at the end. Again, working with a lot of keynote speakers. Working with keynote speakers, I advise them, look, they say to me, look, I really want to do a question and answer at the end. And that can often put people in an awkward position, because the thing is, not so much here, but certainly maybe in a press conference, somebody famous, for example, or a politician, for example, the questions they get from journalists are often quite awkward, quite tricky. So you have no idea what you're going to get. So you can actually finish your time on stage or your presentation with a really bad question or a really awkward question that you don't really know how to answer, or somebody's put you right on the spot that's making you feel uncomfortable. You look uncomfortable, you sound uncomfortable. It's recorded on TV. On YouTube. It's all gone wrong. So what you need to do, you need to finish. I often say to them, look, best idea is finishing on your terms. So you finish on your sweet dessert. So for example, you do your question and answer session. Okay, questions, answers. Okay, we've come now to the end of our question and answer session. But before I go, I just really want to leave you with this last thoughts, all right? With this last idea, this last concept, and then boom, you then give them one of the main things that you wanted to share with your audience, all right? So finishing, remember, always finish on your terms, and then that gives you the whole control about how your presentation, how you finish when you leave the stage. All right, because people will remember you when? At the beginning, bang, the impact you give at the beginning, the content in the center, and definitely at the end when you leave that stage. My sweet dessert for you. Your frame of mind shapes your words, body language, and how others see you. Your frame of mind, listen, public speaking, going to an interview, all these areas where we're judged, where we're stepping out of our comfort zones, all right? You know what it is? You know what it's all about? It's a mind game. It's actually taking control and saying to yourself, okay, I've got these doubts, but listen, what am I here to do? What is my purpose? What am I going to share, or what am I going to give? How do I want my audience to see me? Another thing I do as well with people I work with, I say to them, okay, give me like 3 or 4 adjectives. Think of 3 or 4 adjectives that describe how you want your audience to perceive you. Okay, then we go through them. Okay, I want to be credible. Great. I want to make the audience feel that I'm knowledgeable. Okay, somebody who's warm, somebody they can trust, somebody who seems like he knows what he's talking about, and somebody they can learn from. And as soon as you start to say those words in your head, it's crazy. You say those words in your head, and you actually start to feel like you feel connected to those words, and then you start to share them, okay? So try that. When you're ever in a position where you're feeling a bit nervous, feeling not great about what's happening, an interview's coming up when it matters, you just have to think about, again, how you want that person in front of you to perceive you. All right? You start thinking of those words, and that will start to help you think and feel like the person you really should be. All right? Because all it is, it's layers and layers of negative things that we've all learned through our childhood, through the people around us. Okay? We've got to take that off, because every single one of us, every single one person here can do exactly what I'm doing here, standing on stage, speaking to you about the topic they know about. Okay, so it's all about techniques. Ladies and gentlemen, I've come to that. That's pretty much it in terms of my little presentation. We've had a lot of things over these last 3 days. I hope this little piece you've enjoyed. I hope you'll take a few of these things away. Not everything, but 1 or 2. If you walk away with 1 or 2 ideas that you can actually do, it's not just chit-chat, okay? It's not chit-chat, it's things you can actually do. Hands-on advice. If you can do any of those techniques and then even move forward, you can look back at this video when it's online and try to work on some of the things that I've mentioned. But if you do some of those things, I know my job is done. Thank you so much.